It's late, the kind of night where the world feels soft and quiet. Rain taps gently against my bedroom window, a steady rhythm that makes the quilt on my bed feel heavier, cozier. There's a lantern on my nightstand, its warm glow spilling over an old leather journal, its pages crinkled from years of being thumbed through. The air smells faintly of cedar and damp earth, carried in by the breeze, sneaking through the cracked window. If you want to find peace in this gentle journey through distant lands, I'd be truly thankful for a soft like and a subscribe to catch our next soothing tale. I'm sitting here, wrapped in a shawl, a mug of coffee steaming in my hands, its warmth seeping into my palms. Somewhere in the distance, a low rumble of thunder hums, like the earth itself is whispering secrets. I open the journal, and there, in faded ink, is a story I first heard in 2021. A story about a wanderer, a dreamer, lost in the Amazon's green heart. It's a true story, one that's lived in my soul ever since, and tonight I want to share it with you. But be warned, it's the kind of tale that pulls you in, keeps you wondering, keeps you awake just a little longer than you planned. Let me take you back to 1925, to a time when the world still had wild, untouched corners. The Amazon rainforest was one of those places, a labyrinth of emerald vines, rivers like veins of silver, and air so thick with life you could taste it. Our wanderer, a young man named Elias, wasn't anyone you'd find in history books. He was no hero, no scholar, just a quiet soul with restless feet. Born in a small English village where the hills seemed too small for his dreams, Elias had read about Percy Fawcett, the famous explorer, a man who believed in a lost city hidden deep in the Amazon, a place he called Z. Fawcett was a legend, tall and lean, with eyes that burned like he'd seen things no one else could imagine. His stories of ancient civilizations, of ruins swallowed by jungle, lit a fire in Elias. Could you imagine leaving everything behind for a dream like that? Just packing a rucksack and chasing a whisper across the world? Elias met Fawcett by chance, in a smoky London pub, the kind where old maps hung on the walls and sailors spun tales of distant shores. It was 1924, and Fawcett was preparing his final expedition. Over a pint, he spoke of the Amazon like it was alive, a place where time didn't move the way it does here. Elias, barely 24, hung on every word. "There's something out there," Fawcett said, his voice low, like he was sharing a secret with the universe. "Something older than empires, waiting to be found." Elias didn't have much, just a tattered coat and a heart full of wanderlust, but he begged to join. Fawcett looked at him, saw something in his quiet determination, and nodded. And just like that, Elias was part of the journey that would change him forever, or maybe end him. The expedition began in Brazil, where the air was heavy with the scent of wet earth and blooming orchids. They started in Cuiabá, a dusty outpost, where the jungle's edge loomed like a green wall. Elias, Fawcett, and a small team including Fawcett's son Jack and his friend Raleigh loaded their packs with machetes, maps, and dreams. The Amazon wasn't just a place, it was a presence. The trees towered so high they blocked the sun, casting the forest floor in a twilight glow. Monkeys chattered in the canopy, their calls sharp against the hum of cicadas. Every step felt like wading through a living, breathing world. Elias wrote in his journal, yes, the same one I'm holding now, about the river they followed, the Rio Xingu, its waters dark and glassy, reflecting the jungle like a mirror. "It's like the river knows something we don't," he wrote. Have you ever felt that? Like a place is watching you, holding its breath? Days turned into weeks, and the jungle tested them. Mosquitoes buzzed in clouds, their bites leaving welts that burned under the sweat. The rain came in sheets, turning the ground to mud that sucked at their boots. Elias, though, found a strange peace in it. At night, when the team camped by the river, he'd lie under a tarp, listening to the rain's soft patter, the same sound I hear now, outside my window. He'd watch the firelight flicker on Fawcett's face. the explorer's eyes fixed on the darkness, as if he could see Z just beyond the trees. Time feels different here, Ilias wrote one night. Like it's not a line, but a circle, looping back on itself. I wonder, do you ever feel time slip away like that, when you're somewhere that feels eternal? But there was something else in the jungle, something that made Ilias's heart beat a little faster. Fawcett had a map, not the kind you'd find in a shop, but a tattered thing, drawn by hand, passed down from a trader who claimed it came from an old tribe. It marked a path to Z, but it was incomplete, with strange symbols Elias couldn't read. Fawcett guarded it like a treasure, unfolding it only at night, his fingers tracing lines that seemed to lead nowhere. One evening, as the team rested, by a crumbling stone, maybe a ruin, maybe just a rock, Fawcett whispered to Elias, "This map, it's not just a guide, it's a warning. A warning of what?" Elias didn't ask, but the words stayed with him, heavy as the humid air. "Ken, you feel that weight? That moment when you know something's coming, but you don't know what?" The deeper they went, the more the jungle seemed to close in. The team heard things, rustles in the underbrush, footsteps that stopped when they turned to look. One night, Elias woke to find Fawcett standing at the camp's edge, staring into the dark. "They're watching us," Fawcett murmured, not turning around. Elias didn't know if he meant animals, tribes, or something else entirely. The Amazon was full of stories, tribes who vanished into the trees, spirits who guarded, ancient secrets. Elias didn't believe in ghosts, but out there, with the jungle whispering and the stars hidden by leaves, he wasn't so sure. His journal entries grew shorter, more urgent. "The map feels alive," he wrote, "like it's leading us somewhere we're not supposed to go. Have you ever followed a path that felt wrong, like every step was daring fate?" Weeks blurred into months. The team was tired, their supplies dwindling. Jack, Fawcett's son, was feverish, his face pale under the jungle's green shadow. Raleigh, usually quick with a joke, grew quiet, his eyes darting to the trees. Elias, though, kept walking, driven by something he couldn't name. Maybe it was Fawcett's fire, or maybe it was the jungle itself, pulling him deeper. One day, they found something, a stone, carved with symbols, half buried in roots. Fawcett knelt beside it, his fingers trembling as he traced the markings. "This is it," he said, his voice barely a whisper. "We're close." Close to what? Elias didn't know, but his heart raced. The map, the stone, the jungle, all felt like pieces of a puzzle, and they were running out of time to solve it. That night, by the fire, Fawcett spoke of Z like it was more than a city. "It's where time began," he said, his eyes reflecting the flames. "A place where the past and future meet." Elias didn't understand, but he felt it's a weight of something ancient, something waiting. He wrote in his journal, "I don't know if we're chasing a dream or running from something." The rain fell harder that night, drumming on the leaves, drowning out the world. Elias lay awake, listening, wondering if the jungle was trying to tell him something. Have you ever felt that? Like the world is speaking, but you don't know the language. Then came the day everything changed. They'd reached a bend in the river, where the water slowed, and the trees parted just enough to let a sliver of sunlight through. Fawcett stopped, his map clutched tight, his face lit with a strange certainty. "This is where we cross," he said. But the jungle was quiet, too quiet. No birds, no insects, just the river's soft murmur. Elias felt it again, that prickle on his neck, like eyes watching from the shadows. Fawcett stepped toward the water, his boots sinking in the mud, and Elias followed, his heart pounding. The map's symbols seemed to glow in his mind, leading them deeper, toward something, or nothing. As they waded into the river, the current cold against their legs, Elias looked back at the shore. For a moment, he swore he saw a figure in the trees, motionless, watching. Then it was gone. Or was it ever there? The rain still falling outside my window now, softer, like it's waiting for what comes next. Elias's journal doesn't say what happened after they crossed that river. The pages are worn, some torn, but the story doesn't end there. I can almost see him now, standing in that jungle, his lantern casting shadows, his heart torn between fear and wonder. What would you do in his place? Keep going, chasing a dream that might not exist, or turn back, knowing you'd always wonder? The Amazon holds its secrets tight, and Elias, he's still out there, in a way, wandering that endless green, searching for something timeless. The rain outside my window hasn't stopped, its soft patter, a quiet echo of the jungle's rhythm, pulling me back to that moment in 1925. I'm still here, curled up under my quilt, the lantern's glow flickering across the open journal in my lap. The scent of coffee lingers, mixing with the damp earth carried in by the night air. Elias's words seem to hum off the page, as if he's whispering to me across time. I can see him now, wading through that dark river in the Amazon, the water cold against his legs, his heart caught between fear and wonder. The jungle was silent, too silent, and something watched from the shadows. Let's step back into his world, right where we left him, and follow the path deeper, because the story, like the jungle, isn't done with us yet. The river's current tugged at Elias's boots, slow but relentless, like it wanted to pull him under. The water was dark, reflecting the tangled canopy above, and every ripple felt like a secret stirring. Fawcett led the way, his map clutched tight, the paper damp from the jungle's breath. Jack and Raleigh followed, their faces pale in the dim light, their steps heavy with exhaustion. Elias glanced back at the shore one last time, half expecting to see that figure again, but the trees stood still, their leaves swaying in a breeze he couldn't feel. The silence pressed in, broken only by the slosh of their steps. "Keep moving," Fawcett said, his voice low, steady, but there was an edge to it, like he felt the jungle's eyes too. Have you ever walked somewhere that felt alive? Like every step was being measured? They reached the far bank, mud squelching underfoot, and set up camp as the sky darkened. The air smelled of wet moss and something sharper, like crushed herbs. Elias helped build a fire, the flames crackling against the damp wood, casting shadows that danced like spirits. Fawcett sat apart, his map spread on a flat stone, his lantern casting a golden pool around him. Elias watched him, the way his fingers traced those strange symbols, his lips moving silently, as if praying or arguing with the jungle itself. "This place," Fawcett said once, not looking up, "it doesn't let go of its secrets easily." Elias didn't reply, but he felt it the weight of something ancient, something that didn't want them there. He wrote in his journal that night, his pencil scratching under the rain's soft drum. "The jungle knows we're here. I don't know if it's welcoming us, or warning us." Days stretched on, each one blurring into the next. The team hacked through vines, their machetes dulling against the jungle's endless green. The heat was suffocating, the air thick with the buzz of insects and the distant roar of a jaguar. Elias's boots were soaked, his skin raw from bites, but there was a strange calm in him. At night, when the others slept, he'd sit by the fire, listening to the river's murmur, feeling time slip away. "It's like the jungle is outside time," he wrote. "Like we're walking through a place that's always been, always will be. I wonder, have you ever been somewhere that made you feel small, like you were just a guest in a much bigger story?" The map led them deeper, past rivers that twisted like snakes, past trees so old their roots seemed to pulse with life. One morning, they found another stone, larger than the first, its surface carved with spirals and lines that matched the map's symbols. Fawcett's eyes lit up, a spark of triumph, but Elias felt a chill. The stone was half buried, as if the jungle was trying to swallow it back. "We're closer," Fawcett said, his voice almost a whisper. "Z is near," but the jungle seemed to tighten around them, the air growing heavier, the sounds quieter. Elias noticed tracks in the mud bare feet, fresh, circling their camp. He didn't tell the others, not wanting to spark panic. But his journal trembled with his words. Someone's following us, or something. Can you imagine that feeling? Knowing you're not alone, but not knowing who or what 'tis out there. One night, the tension broke. They'd camped in a clearing, the stars just visible through a gap in the canopy. The fire was low, the air thick with the scent of damp earth and smoke. Elias woke to a sound, a low, rhythmic chant, faint but unmistakable, coming from the trees. He sat up, his heart pounding, and saw Fawcett already awake, his revolver in hand, staring into the dark. Jack and Raleigh stirred, their faces pale in the firelight. "Stay quiet," Fawcett whispered. The chant grew louder, then stopped, leaving a silence that felt heavier than the sound. Elias's hand went to his journal, as if writing could anchor him. "They know we're here," he scribbled, "and I think they know why." Who were they? A tribe, guardians of Fawcett's lost city, or just the jungle, playing tricks on their tired minds? The next day, Fawcett pushed them harder. "We're close," he kept saying, his voice tight with urgency. The map's path led to a ridge, where the trees thinned and the river widened, its surface glinting like polished obsidian. Elias felt it again, that prickle on his neck, that sense of being watched. He caught glimpses of movement in the trees, shadows that vanished when he looked too long. Raleigh, usually so steady, snapped at Jack over a spilled canteen, his voice shaking. Even Fawcett seemed different, his eyes darting, his hands never far from the map. Elias wrote, "The jungle is changing us, or maybe it's showing us who we really are. Have you ever wondered what you'd find if you went too far? If you chased a dream past the point of turning back?" Then, one evening, they found it, or thought they did. The ridge sloped down to a valley, where the trees parted to reveal a clearing. In its center stood ruins, crumbling stone walls, overgrown with vines, their surfaces etched with symbols that matched the map. Fawcett stopped, his breath catching, and for a moment, no one spoke. The air was still, the jungle holding its breath. "This is it," Fawcett said, his voice trembling with something between awe and fear. "Z." Elias stepped forward, his boots sinking into the soft earth, and touched the stones. They were warm, despite the shade, as if they held the sun's heat from centuries ago. But something felt wrong. The ruins were too small, too broken, not the grand city Fawcett had dreamed of. And yet, the symbols, they were the same. Was this Z, or something else entirely? That night, as the rain fell harder, drumming on their tarp, Elias couldn't sleep. The lantern's light flickered, casting shadows that seemed to move on their own. Fawcett sat by the ruins, his map spread out, muttering to himself. Elias overheard him say, "It's not the end, it's the beginning." The words sent a shiver through him. He wrote in his journal, "I don't know if we found Z, or if Z found us, but I know we're not alone." The next morning, Fawcett was gone. His pack, his map, his lantern gone. Jack and Raleigh searched frantically, calling his name, but the jungle swallowed their voices. Elias stood by the ruins, his heart heavy, staring at the stones. Had Fawcett found his city, or had the jungle claimed him? The team waited, hoping he'd return, but days passed, and the silence grew heavier. Elias's journal ends there, the last page torn, the ink smudged like tears. Back in my bedroom, the rain slows to a whisper, the lanterns glow soft against the dark. I close the journal, my fingers tracing its worn cover. Elias's story, like Fawcett's, fades into the jungle's green heart, but it lingers in me. Maybe they found Z, or maybe Z was never a place, but a feeling, a moment when time stops, and you're part of something bigger. What do you think? Is the journey worth it, even if it leads to nowhere? Their steps may have faded, but their wanderlust, their courage to chase the unknown, it lives on, in every heart that dreams of the horizon. If you're still with us, let us know in the comments where you're wandering from and what time it is. There, dream gently.